All right, everybody. Pretty excited to share this one with you today. This is sort of a family recipe. It comes from one of my grandmothers. This was always a favorite of mine. This was her version, or I guess my family's version, in an Eastern European take on Halupkis, right? Some of us know these things as cabbage rolls. I believe there's some other ethnic pronunciations for them. I think there's a Polish pronunciation that might be Galumki. Shout out to my college roommate for sharing that one with me, if I remember correct. I hope I didn't butcher the pronunciation, but here's an Eastern European version of Halupki. We are going to start out, now we're not going to have to wrap them in cabbage, but instead, to do some prep work, you're going to want one medium head of cabbage, and we're going to chop that down. And we're also going to need a large can of sauerkraut or bag, whatever you prefer. Definitely drain it in a colander. You can rinse it if you'd like. That's entirely up to you as to how much you like sauerkraut and you like that flavor, but really adds a good tang to this one. So we're going to start out, we're just going to saute an onion with some bacon. That'll be about a half a pound of bacon for this one. So we're just going to saute those down and get those working off until you've sweated it down. In the meantime, I use a really large Dutch oven for this one, and it almost maxes it out. I can't even remember what the size of the Dutch oven is, but it's a big one. So we're going to start out with some of that drained sauerkraut. We're going to layer that on the bottom, and then we're going to add some of that shredded cabbage or some of that chopped cabbage. I leave it chopped because I like a little texture, and I actually don't mind eating it all together. If you're not a huge cabbage fan, you might want to dice that down, but use about half of that, and we're going to layer that on. So once that bacon and the onions are sauteed down, we're going to add that to our ground beef and ground pork mixture. That's going to basically be, these are almost going to be like meatballs on top. So it's going to look like, give it an appearance of meatballs, but that's essentially how these are going to stay together. We're going to add some rice in there as well, a little bit of minced garlic to kind of hold everything together. But I do like using a good mix of ground chuck and ground pork. So we're just going to mix up some meatballs here, and once we have those, we're going to put those on top of that sauerkraut cabbage mixture in the Dutch oven. So I use about 2 pounds of meat all in total for this, and that gives you what you see here. So it gives you a good amount of food and a good amount of meatballs, or a good amount of Halupki. A couple cans of Campbell's tomato soup and a couple cans of water. We're going to add some tomato sauce, some ketchup, which makes the mixture that you see here that we're pouring over top. And that's really going to create our, sauce, for lack of a better word. Next, I like using a Eckrich skinless kielbasa, but we're going to add some kielbasa in there. Not only does this give a little bit of flavor to the dish, but that kielbasa really cooks down and, is a really good additive to this dish as well with the meat. Finally, we're going to take one more layer, our remaining sauerkraut, and then our remaining cabbage. We are going to layer that back on top, and you can see that this is absolutely maxing out. This is a heavy one, so make sure you're ready to carry, or you got somebody strong to put these in and out of the oven. Finally, we'll finish with a little bit of fresh ground black pepper, and we are ready to go in the oven. So these things are going to bake for about 2 hours, and then we're going to turn off the oven. They're going to bake at 350. Then we're going to turn the oven off. So while we're, getting our side dish ready, and this is how they were always served to me, and this is how I continue to serve them, but there is nothing better than this stuff over some good mashed potatoes. So while you're, boiling the water and making the mashed potatoes, those things are just going to sit in the oven, usually for about another 30 minutes or so. But then you see your finished product here coming out, and you see all that cabbage and sauerkraut that is cooked down. Essentially, Eastern European meatballs underneath there. So again, this is a family favorite. It has some real sentimental value to me as well, and I hope you enjoy. If you have anything you'd like us to try, if you try this and you really think that it's phenomenal, let us know. If you hate it, let us know as well. We appreciate the feedback and hope that these are a little more on the fun side.